Super Bowl 60 is fast approaching, and you can bet on every moment of Super Bowl glory. Every trip to that end zone matters more than ever, as the Seahawks and the Patriots are going head-to-head. And DraftKings Sportsbook has all your favorite ways to bet touchdowns for Super Bowl 60. The next great Super Bowl touchdown is coming, and you can bet on every moment of glory. New customers, bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the code SONNEN. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Stay in on the action and use your bonus bets on DraftKings same game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Love the thrill of live betting? Bet live on star player props and in-progress games right as they happen. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports and have a shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. New customers, use my promo code SONNEN and bet just $5 on any wager and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. That's promo code SONNEN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, time for Ask Uncle Chael. Samaricon asks, did you really not know the rules in the first Anderson Silva fight? You know, of all the bits that I put out, I enjoyed that one the most. I really did. There was, and my answer to that, for maybe somebody that doesn't know, is I said that Anderson submitted me in the 5th round, but I had won the previous 4. And that I thought if you tapped out, it signified that you lost the round. I was not aware that it brought the contest as a whole to a conclusion. And I got to plead ignorance on this one. That was the statement. That was inspired by George Costanza on a Seinfeld. And George Costanza had slept with a gal. He was a boss. He was like an executive in some company. And he sleeps with a gal from the mailroom who reports him. And he says to his superior, should I not have done that? I've got to plead ignorance on this. I didn't know. It was ridiculous. And when I said it, it was meant to be ridiculous. So if you're asking me straight, and I take these questions, right? When I say you guys can ask me anything, we have an exchange. You ask what you want, but I answer them honestly. If I answer that honestly, yes, of course. Of course I knew the rule. That was fair. Anderson won. What was Jon Jones like behind the scenes? This is asked from Mike in Indy. All right, I'm assuming you're talking about The Ultimate Fighter. He was great. Jon was great. He was not the most committed coach that you've seen. He was having fun. Jon was a younger guy. It was Las Vegas. He was enjoying his time in Las Vegas. He wasn't grabbing and mentoring, the guys that he was coaching were the same age as him. So you see where it's easier or even common to become buddies? To be a mentor, a large part of that is age. Like if you think of the people that you look up to, they're not people your age and they're not people younger than you. Like age is really important. So Jon, for the most part, acted the way that Jon should. But if you want to know his demeanor or like my interactions with him, man, I like him. That's a secret. That's not something that I want out. If we did not have this agreement of transparency and honesty here, that is not the answer that I would give. But my mother or my wife, they think he's the greatest guy, and they should. He treats them tremendous. He goes out of his way to be nice to them. He'll scowl at me and then turn and give my mother a hug. Like, there's 2 sides to Jon Jones. I don't like to talk about the good one. I like to insult Jon. Jon's a good dude. What was he like behind tough? He was a pleasure to be around. All right. Who is the toughest guy you ever fought that nobody knows? Thank you very much, Cal in Cal. All right. Les Gutchess never sought fame or money. He was a wrestler. He wanted to be the greatest wrestler of all time, which in my opinion, he was. But it's one thing to just go, hey, this guy's really tough. Like that's one thing. I know a tough guy. You know a tough guy. I got the tough guy from my school. Well, I got a tough guy from my school. And you start to have this argument. Let me use different words, okay? And these are very literal. If Les Gutchess did to me what he did to me, and I was not a consenting adult in a practice room, he would have been arrested. If Les and I got into it on the street, I'd walk up to him and I ask him something. Hey, Les, would you show me how you do and he'd go down and he'd work with me and he'd show me something. Okay, if the police pulled up and saw that, they would draw their guns on him and they would put him in handcuffs. And if I tried to defend him and go, no, 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 that's my friend, let him go, I asked for this, they would hand me a pamphlet and put me in one of those classes for abused people. And it's a whole thing. Like, this dude was brutal. And it wasn't just me, by the way. There was a lot of dudes in that room that you know. There was big names in that room. World champions, NCAA champions, UFC champions. They all got the living you-know-what beat out of them. Why do elite wrestlers fail in MMA? Tommy from the Bronx asks. Well, it's very simple to know. I got this guy named Ryan, and Ryan is the master of being able to look at a wrestler and know if he can do MMA. I mean, he's the master. Like, they say that about Simon Cowell in music. They say that, like, Rick Rubin in music, that they can hear a guy go, you're going to be a star, and here's why. I got a buddy named Ryan. He lives in California, went to college at Arizona State, used to corner, used to train, used to manage some MMA guys. He just kind of knows this, but he can take one look and one workout. And he and I have broken this down. Why some elite wrestlers fail in MMA. This would be a great demonstration if I had a partner, but I'm going to verbally try to tell you, Tommy. The wrestlers that make it in MMA shoot through their opponent, which means when they make contact on a shot, the opponent stumbles back. They hit them with the shoulder, they knock them back, they shoot through them. The wrestlers that don't make it shoot to them, which means when they change elevation and they go for that tackle, they go for the body, they go for that shot, they get to a leg, the guy is still standing in the same place. And then they try to wrestle around him. Now, that's what you would do on a wrestling mat, because if you go out of bounds, you can't score. You're trained to do that in wrestling, to shoot to a guy and then cut the corner, shoot to a guy, crack him down, shoot to a guy, lift him. In MMA, you have to make one adjustment, which is when you shoot through him. And it's a massive distinction, and you can tell right off the bat if a guy's pedigree in wrestling is going to carry over to MMA, and that is the biggest tell. What were you thinking when Jon Jones hurt his toe? Asked by Steve Becker from Georgia. All right, nothing. I didn't know. I wasn't aware. That match was unlike any experience that I've had. I was so juiced up for that match. And back then, they allowed you to take testosterone, and you had a therapeutic use exemption. And with that, there was a lot of blood work that you had to submit, in addition to randomized testing that a commission could do. And you had to be within certain limits. The limits in this jurisdiction were more generous than previous jurisdictions. So I was able to take more testosterone. I only share that. I was strong. I was strong that night. I could do about 40 pull-ups. I was strong. Just put in perspective for you. I locked up with Jon Jones at the very beginning of that fight, and he pushed me across that ring like a Mack truck and a Volvo. And I remember as I was backing up, I never got pushed backwards in wrestling matches. And I had guys that were bigger than me and stronger than me. They pushed me backwards. He pushed me across that whole damn octagon until I hit the fence. The only reason I didn't get pushed out of that building is because I hit that fence. And I remember in that moment thinking, I got a problem. So as that match went on, it goes from bad to worse. And I had one commitment with myself. And the commitment was I will not stay on bottom. And I had a superpower in the sport of MMA, which was I could not be held down. I could get up from anyone, anytime I wanted. I could be exhausted. He could be 300 pounds. He could make no bit of difference. He could be a black belt. He could be a world champion. I could get up from anyone. Now, I realize that doesn't get you a lot. Like, as far as superpower goes, that's maybe isn't the one that you want. But I had it. I could get up from anyone. And I made myself one commitment. If he ever gets me down, I'm getting up. And one thing that'll break a guy quickly that is takedown heavy is if the other guy gets up. So Jon took me down, I got up. Took me down, I got up. He took me down, I got up. He took me down again. Generally, that will not happen. If a guy takes you down, but he can't stay in that position, he'll give up on it. He was digging in with some ground and pound, and apparently his toe went out. The referee stopped it for a TKO. It was a good stoppage. And then it gets revealed to us that the toe came out. And I've had many people say, hey, do you ever think back on that? You would have been world champion. If you would have just hung in there, you would have been world champion. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if the ref would have stopped it. I don't know if the ref would have stopped it for one. I don't know if the ref would have known about it. Like, Jon went into a little bit of a shock, but if that shock would have happened in his corner, they might have kept their mouths shut. In 1 minute, put him back together, and he came back out. Maybe. I don't know. So that has never kept me up at night. The way I tell the story, I ripped his toe off and threw it into the audience. But that depiction I just gave you is as clear of an understanding as I have.